You're listening to Mic Drop Moments, a podcast brought to you each week with me, your host, Sandra Garlick. During the podcast, I invite guests to share their amazing stories, knowledge and top tips, including their mic drop moments, especially for you. I also share my learning and inspiration about life, business growth and visibility. I'm delighted to bring the Mic Drop Moments podcast to you each week to inspire and motivate you to achieve. Enjoy the podcast and don't forget to leave a review. Mic Drop Moments is sponsored by Grow Radio. Want to launch your own podcast? Grow Radio are here to help. Grow Radio has launched and supported countless podcasts, and they'd love to do the same for you. Just hit record and they'll handle the rest. No editing stress, no technical faff, just a great podcast released when you want. Need a little extra support? Grow Radio's workshops and courses make getting started easy. Let's bring your podcast to life. Message Grow Radio on social media. Let's make this happen. Welcome to Mic Drop Moments. I've got a slightly different show for you today. And today I want to talk all about combining self-care and business. And I want to introduce you to some very special guests who I spent the day with recently on the water, on a narrowboat. And you might think, what on earth has this got to do with business? But sometimes you need to step out of the office and do something for yourself and spend time with others that lift you up and support you. And at the time, I was going through a particularly challenging time. I was recovering from surgery myself, so I've been doing a lot of self-care recently, but also my son was in hospital with pneumonia and blood clots on his lungs, so he was very poorly. And I really wanted to go on this trip, on this day out, on a narrowboat with business connections, but I was holding back and I was thinking, is it selfish to go and spend a day enjoying myself, doing something I love, or should I stay at home? Should I be around? In case I'm needed? As it was, I wasn't needed, but I still felt that sense of guilt, and I shouldn't have done, because what the day did for me was it gave me a huge boost of energy, revitalization, if that's a word. Is it a word? No idea. But it just made me feel so much better about things. And when I got home and went to bed eventually, I slept for 10 hours solid. So the fresh air did me the world of good and gave me the energy and what I needed for the week ahead, going to visit my son in hospital, juggling a few things, helping out, and everything I needed to do. So I realised that my self-care was so important that week and going on that day trip that I wanted to share it with you. And just by chance, I happened to take my roving mic along, and I always have it in my bag wherever I go. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what stories people are going to share. And I got the opportunity to interview all the other people on the narrowboat that day. But not only that, part of my self-care is going on holiday, and I always read non-business books. I always used to read personal development books when I went on a holiday, and I made myself a promise that I would totally switch off and read pure fiction. And who doesn't love a little bit of chick lit when you're on holiday? So I decided that when I went on my last holiday, I was going to read the amazing Shelley Wilson's debut romance novel, Floating Solo. And I thought, I can't wait till I go on holiday. And I got it ready to put in the suitcase. And I thought, I'm just going to read the first chapter. Well, that was a big mistake, wasn't it? 5 or 6 hours later, I'd finished the book. I couldn't put it down. And it was just the type of book I needed to take me to not necessarily faraway places because it's set local to where I live, which was magical because I recognised some of the landmarks, but also because the scene was set on a narrowboat. And many years ago, I used to go narrowboating with my ex and absolutely loved it. Just loved the outdoors, loved being on the water, loved the slow pace, and loved the fact that every time you go anywhere, everybody speaks to you. Whether you're walking along the tow path, whether you're at the locks, whether you're on board and people are just walking by with their dogs or jogging, everybody speaks. It's just wonderful. It just lifts you. So, with floating solo in mind, and obviously Shelley helping to organise this day on a narrowboat with the lovely Holly Nixon, whose family own the narrowboat, I decided it would be great to interview both Shelley and Holly, but also to interview the people on board. So I asked Shelley, because it was a captive audience, she couldn't jump, well, she could jump off the boat, I suppose. And this is the thing, terminology. Is it a boat? Is it a barge? Is it a narrowboat? Don't know. I call it narrowboat, I call it barge, I call it boat throughout these interviews. And do you steer it or do you drive it? And do you have a captain or do you have a pilot or skipper? I don't know. Anyway, all those things we ask all the way through. So my first interview is with Shelley Wilson, and I asked her why she set the scene for floating solo on a narrowboat.
Shelley, we're here on Lilliput, which was the inspiration for your latest novel, Floating Solo. Tell us, why a barge? Why did you set the story on a barge?
That's a great question, actually. So, you know that I've got a camper van and I love Snoopy, and I couldn't quite get all the scenes I wanted in a camper van. So I had the idea of it being on the move and travel, but I didn't quite know what that was going to be. And then I came on Lilliput with a friend for a birthday, and Holly and Gav did the whole skipper bit, which was fabulous. And Holly gave me the tour, and I looked around the boat and I was like, this would work. And so it kind of just started to manifest in my head as I was thinking about the scenes, and then I started to do the research for the Avon Ring so that I knew where they'd be stopping, and then went deep down into the research. But this boat was just the perfect setting.
Well, as you know, I'm your number one fan because I have read the book 4 times and it's about to have its 5th airing. But aside from that, because I love a good rom-com, and do you think it could ever be a film? Because we both love our Hallmark movies. Do you think, when you were writing it, could you envision it as a film? Because I can see it playing out, and we've got a special guest on board today, but we'll talk about him in a minute. Did you ever envisage it could be a film?
Yeah, when I write, I see it playing out like a film in my head. So straight away, I cast who I'd love to see in it. Sometimes that's celebrity, sometimes that's just somebody I've seen, like a model or somebody, like, oh, yeah, that's the fit, that's who I picture in my head. So yeah, 100%, just waiting for Netflix to ring me any day now.
Absolutely love it. Thanks, Shelley.
It's just amazing, isn't it, how a novel comes to life? And it's interesting because I've read the book now. Oh, gosh, I'm just about to start my 5th reading at the time of recording. I love reading books again because you know there's going to be a happy ending. Well, you sort of do. But I absolutely love this book. And you'll hear me say later on, I'm the number one fan, and I am. But anyway, let's chat to Holly about the narrowboat and why she wanted to bring everybody on board.
So I'm here with Holly Nixon. Holly, this is the family boat, the family barge. What do you enjoy most about this?
I love bringing friends and family on here. So often we will have, I was just talking to somebody today that's on the trip with us, and the kids are a bit, they don't like the no Wi-Fi, they don't like all the work of doing the locks and things like that. But actually, as you get older, you love to be in the nature and just slowing down, having a much slower pace of life, and bringing people on. Just love it. Oh, you could hear the laughter in the background, can't you? They just love having conversations. They love taking part in it. They love having that just different pace of life. So that's what I love about Lilliput.
Apart from obviously the locks and the winding and the pushing and all that, it is very relaxing, very tranquil. What were your first thoughts when Shelley approached you and said, I'm thinking of writing a book, I want to set it on a barge? What was your immediate thought?
I'm not sure she told me that, did she? No, she's just right here now next to it. No. But it was a lovely surprise when she did write it. And as I was reading it, because I loved it. And what a friend of mine was reading it the other day, and they said, we just loved, she didn't name the pubs that I mentioned, but we knew where they were, and that was really exciting reading the book and knowing that you've tread those toes and been to those spots, and and having our names in the back as well was a lovely little treat as well. So we loved that.
It's interesting you say that, because obviously I read it and recognising those local landmarks, and I've been to those pubs as well. And as I was reading it and she was describing the walking down to the pub and where it was and what the outside bit, I thought, I've been there. It was really great. So, well, you know, you've brought us all here today, Holly. You've brought the people together. I can hear the volume of the conversations, the laughter. As you say, it's really relaxing. How many do you have holidays on here as well?
We have more like weekends, but like I say, the day trips are the best, because we just go out and stop off for a little picnic somewhere, have some cake, which we'll be doing later on the way back, and we do hire it out for friends and family. So I enjoy hearing those stories, and you can have a little look. There's a log book over here. Some of the stories are hilarious. You should have a look at them. But it's lovely that everybody gets to enjoy it. And I think Gavin's dad, who the boat came down from, would have loved all of these trips and people's experiences on Lilliput too.
Yeah, so you're telling me he bought the boat to live on it, and sadly he only got to live for a few months on the boat. But it's lovely that you've kept it in the family.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's been passed through sisters and aunties, and we've always kept it in the family. We know that it's a money pit. Like, it costs a lot to keep it running, but it is an emotional attachment that we've got to Lilliput. So it will stay in here for a while at least.
Well, thank you for creating the space for us all to be here today, Holly.
You're very welcome. Enjoy the day.
Now, Shelley had a very special surprise for me, well, for everybody really, when we stepped on board. And there was a small group of us, and narrowboats vary in size, and this one's quite a long one. In fact, it's the longest one you could have on the Grand Canal. But Shelley, the main character in the book, is Jordan. And I asked Shelley ages ago who she based Jordan on, and she shared that with me. Well, you could have knocked me down, blown me down with a feather when I stepped on board, went just down a couple of steps and into the narrowboat itself. And there he is, Jordan, in real life, or not in real life, in real cardboard cutout life. And he was just there, and he's based on a character. But anyway, let Shelley explain why she brought Jordan along.
So, Shelley, we're standing here inside the barge with the very focal character of the book, Jordan. And I say standing with him. When I walked in and I saw this hunk of a man, but it's actually a cardboard Jordan, isn't it?
It is.
Who is he? I said, who is he? Tell us a little bit about the background and the inspiration for the character of Jordan.
Okay, well, just looking at that face, I mean, you can't really think of anyone else, can you? But I'm a massive Marvel fan, as most people know, and so Captain America is my favourite character, and Chris Evans plays Captain America, and he's just gorgeous. And so when I was writing Floating Solo and I needed that Hollywood actor, he popped into my head straight away, and I could visualise him perfectly. So when we knew we were coming on Lilliput, I googled, can you buy a cardboard cutout of Chris Evans? And you can! So yeah, I thought I'd bring him along, and seeing your face when you walked in was an absolute picture.
Well, I've had some photos with Captain America, Chris Evans. Do you think he knows that he is the inspiration for a character of a rom-com? I mean, he would be ideal to play the lead in the film, obviously, if ever it was brought through.
Yeah, he will be when I tag him in later. It's got to be done. You never know, do you?
You never know. Well, Jordan, the main character. He's made my day, so thank you for that, Shelley.
You're welcome. He's made mine as well.
So I thought it would be a great idea to speak to each of the women on board. Yes, it was women in business, and it was sort of networking, but we chatted about just about everything. We really did. We talked a little bit about what we do. Some of us knew each other, some of us didn't really, some of us knew of each other. We were all from different areas, we weren't all local. But it was lovely just to chat about anything and everything. And as the day went on, as we'd had our lunch, we relaxed and it was sunny. And the conversations then became more relaxed and more about everyday things. One of the best conversations we had was pandemic purchases. And I'm going to do an episode specifically on that. And I was chatting about some of the purchases I made during the pandemic. We all shopped online. We all bought stuff we didn't need. We all bought stuff we did need. And we were talking about those purchases that actually you've still got and that you wouldn't have discovered otherwise. But that's for another day, for another episode. So we're going to hear now from a couple of the ladies I was chatting to, Sarah Gray, Jill Cleave and Nikki Watson.
So I'm here with Sarah Gray. Sarah, you had a taste of the roving mic, my awards recently, so now the tables have turned. We're here on the barge. Is this your first time on a barge?
It is. How exciting. It's such a beautiful day and it's so peaceful.
And what have you enjoyed most so far?
I hadn't thought about the hopping on and off and doing the locks and getting that little bit of exercise in, as well as just enjoying the calm of the canal. And it's just been wonderful to do that with familiar faces and new faces. It's been wonderful.
And I've got to ask you a question. Are you wearing heels or flats?
I knew you'd get me with that one. Flats for hopping on and off the boat.
Absolutely. You asked every interviewee, I think, last week whether they're wearing heels or flats, which was a great question from a stylist, obviously. Obviously we're taking the boat down. We've been through a series of locks. We're now sat with coffee and tea in the sun, just relaxing. What are your aspirations and hopes for the rest of the day? What are you looking forward to?
Well, it's been wonderful, even just hearing a little bit of everybody's stories and what they do and what their daily lives look like. So a bit more of that. Stopping, or I don't know if we're stopping for lunch, but having lunch and stopping for cake, I believe, which is always exciting. And yeah, just more of the same. The sun's out, it's beautiful.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
So I've got Jill Cleave on the boat, and for those of you who don't know Jill, she is one of the former mayors of Stratford-upon-Avon, and she holds various other roles and councillor and various... Jill, just tell us what you're doing now.
Right now I'm on a narrowboat. But no, so I work with two charities called VASA, which is a community transport scheme driving people to medical journeys, including Borsal Common, and we cover all of South Warwickshire and Solihull Rural East. I also work with Escape Arts as their operations. It's another charity. It's about reducing isolation through creative and heritage things. And I'm also a first aid instructor. So I teach first aid, mental health, wellbeing and safeguarding, as well as being a guide leader where I take my guides on narrowboats, and town councillor as well.
Busy lady. And you were just talking just now, and I just want to capture this, the fact that before you became mayor, you actually hated speaking and giving a speech, and you're doing it all the time now.
Yeah, I had to throw myself into it. It's the same as having your photo taken. I used to hate being in photos, and then the year I was at Met, I was probably in the Herald every week, and you just get used to it, and you just have to. I prefer taking selfies like with groups of people, and I'm in control. But yeah, speaking it's one of those things that if you just remember that people aren't there and they're not critiquing you, they are literally supporting you. And especially when, the Women in Business event that we came to, which is incredible, you're in a room full of women who are just there to support you. And that's why I love things like this. Athena's the same, all these different organisations. So supportive.
So, absolutely great. I love the work you're doing. And what are you enjoying most about today so far?
Being back on the boat. I haven't been on the boat since the pandemic. We were supposed to hire this boat the summer that summer we were allowed out. You know, remember the help out to eat out or eat out to help out. So we hired this, and then my husband and I both came down with COVID, literally the day before. So I haven't been on one since the pandemic. So getting out and remembering that I can actually do it, steering, I was like, yay.
I was going to say, what's it called? Steering or driving or pilot? I don't really know. I'll have a chat with Gav later and find out what he calls himself, because he's doing our driving steering bit today. Great to chat to you, Jill.
Thank you. Nice to chat to you too.
So we're standing here in the dark on the barge going through a tunnel. It's dripping. It's quite eerie, but it's quite exciting. What are your thoughts? Have you been through one of these tunnels before?
I haven't, Sandra. No, it's quite exciting.
So tell us what you've enjoyed so far the most throughout this morning.
Oh, it's been lovely. Last time I went on a barge I was about 7, so it's lovely to come back on it. It's peaceful to go along the big quiet stretches. I'm with a fabulous group of women a couple I vaguely knew through social media, the others are all new, so it's just fantastic. Just a nice unusual day out and getting to hear other people's lives and businesses and experience something completely new.
And do you think you'll come on a barge again? Do you think it's something you'd like to do and maybe spend longer than a day on?
Yeah, definitely. I think the canals around the country are fascinating. They show you a sort of hidden old bit of England that we don't get to see these days. So I think it's fascinating to go travel on them and see what there is.
And have you had a go at the locks?
I have. Yeah, they're a bit stiffer than you thought they were going to be. And I did walk across the little bit on the back of the lock to get across to the other side. Yeah, and being on it when you go down and it's all slimy on the walls. Yeah, it was great.
Well, we'll see what the rest of the day brings. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is your last opportunity to enter the Woman Who Solopreneur Awards 2025. They're open to sole traders and sole directors based in the UK who are making those all-important business decisions alone. Entries close at midnight on Sunday, the 27th of July. Don't miss out. Simply visit womanwho.co.uk/awards. This is your opportunity to share your story, your achievements and your goals and aspirations for the future. Plus, entering awards is a fantastic way to boost your visibility and shine. Early bird tickets and sponsorship opportunities are also available. Now back to the podcast. That tunnel was really interesting. It's very, very dark. And you have a headlight on the boat so you can see where you're going. The longest tunnel I've been in was one on the way to Stoke Bruin, and you couldn't see the other end of the tunnel, really dark and really spooky. And you sort of get this trickling sound, and you don't want to really be outside because the rain drips onto you. And it's not rain, it's sort of moisture inside the tunnel. There's little chimneys and little air vents as you go through it, but it's very dark and a very weird sensation. All you can hear is the boat and the echo of whatever people are talking or whatever. But a really spooky sensation. So I thought this was a great opportunity as we came out of the tunnel to go and talk and chat to Gavin, who is Holly Nixon's husband. And he was our captain, skipper, whatever you like to call him. I don't think he knew either. And the boat is in his family. And he made the most amazing cake as well. He's a baker by trade. And so we got to enjoy that too. Here's me chatting to Gavin as we're steering the boat, because he did let me drive. Do you drive? Do you steer? But I got to steer, did a bend, and it brought it all back, because many years ago when I did used to do a lot of narrowboating, I was driving them. I can actually do a 3-point turn in a narrowboat. How cool is that? So here's Gavin talking to us about the boat.
I'm standing here on the back of the narrowboat with Gav, who is Holly's husband, and we are travelling at about 4 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'd say so. Thereabouts.
So you've very kindly offered to be now I've been calling you the driver, but you're not a driver at all. What's the official name for it?
Skipper, is it? I think. I don't know.
You can be whatever you want to be.
Yeah, captain maybe. Yeah. So yeah, just cruising along.
And obviously this is a family boat,
Yeah.
and we've talked about that before. Family barge, sorry, not boat. And we're travelling along. Which stretch of canal are we travelling along at the moment?
Grand Union, heading towards Hatton at the moment, and then I'd end up at home if I carried on. Just have to go through a few more locks, but we'd get there eventually.
And I think, what's lovely is we're travelling at this slow pace. When we pass people, they all say good morning and hello. And we've gone through a big tunnel. Did you get wet going through that tunnel?
Got a bit wet, yeah. Put my rugger robe on just to keep me dry. My cup of coffee may have filled up as well by the looks of it.
We'll make sure you get another one.
Yeah.
We're going to stop soon, I think, to have a picnic, something to eat and drink. But it's absolutely wonderful. Do you get bored standing here?
No, I got a little bit cross-eyed going through the tunnel because I didn't have my glasses on, so I couldn't see fully, but I was just concentrating on the light at the end of the tunnel. And yeah, it was good. But don't get bored.
I'm glad we didn't know that when we were sitting in the front, that you couldn't actually see where you were going. But no, it's great. And thank you for doing this for us. We really appreciate it.
No worries, no problem.
So I had a chat with another couple of ladies on board, and I'd like you to hear from Sarah Harris and Lindsay McLaughlin. And, again, I don't know Sarah that well, but I know her. But Lindsay, I've only met recently, and it just was a great opportunity that day to get to know each of these ladies just that little bit better. So let's hear their interviews now.
Sarah, how have you enjoyed today being on the boat, which was the inspiration for Floating Solo?
It's been brilliant. I've always fancied going on a barge. I never made it. I used to study it at school when I was younger. I remember painting like a spoon with like the canal flowers on and stuff. And I thought I'd take the opportunity to come today. I've just bought my copy of the book, so I look forward to reading that on holiday.
Well, have you had a go at steering the boat?
I tried to steer it, but we were going side to side, so I just stood there and talked to the skipper instead and enjoyed the view.
And we've been up to the canal, and we've turned round, did a beautiful 3-point turn at a turning point, and now we're heading back. And we just stopped for tea and cake. It's very civilised, isn't it?
It's lovely. Yeah, I've had quite a few cakes. So. But yeah, I really enjoyed doing the locks earlier. I thought that was fun. It was a bit stiff to open, but...
Well, you're going to have a few more of those, because as we go back, we have to go right the way back through all those locks. So you know what you're doing this time round.
Yes, I know what I'm doing this time round. So
thanks, Sarah. I'm here with Lindsay. You've come on the boat today. You've travelled quite a way, actually.
From South Oxfordshire, which is about an hour and a half up in the car. It's just lovely to be here, and a beautiful change of scenery for a Sunday, and just surrounded by brilliant women. So yes, it is change of scenery, and a beautiful change of scenery at that.
So we've been on the boat for quite a while now, several hours. Have you had a go at steering?
I have. So Gavin at the back is very experienced, he's in safe hands. So he taught you through it, so I had a little lesson and then I had to go myself, and it's just small adjustments than learning how to this is the largest length canal boat you can get, apparently. So he was showing me how just the small adjustments, how just a little nudge this way can actually move a whole boat. So the first experience, and I've loved it. Yes, so I have had a go at steering.
I've just had a go at steering, actually, and it is, and you have to take account of the wind as well, because it's a bit blowy today, and suddenly you find yourself going off in one direction. You have to do that little correction bit as well. And what about the locks? How did you find those?
Fascinating. So a little bit of hard work. They were quite stiff, and again a brand new experience for me, so another first. And then it was just gorgeous to come right out of one lock and straight into the next. And also where I live in South Oxfordshire, the locks are really far apart on the Thames. So to be up here in the Lapworth area, where you do a flight of locks. Absolutely gorgeous. And then you can walk along and catch up with the next rock, prepare it for the next boat to come through. So it's a learning and a gorgeous one. You're really enjoying it.
And I have heard that you bought a copy of Floating Solo, the book that this barge was the inspiration for. Are you looking forward to reading it now you've experienced it?
I am. It's just been signed. So Shelley's on the boat and she's signed it for me. So I don't know what it says. She's just asked me how to spell my name and she's put an autograph in the front. I can't wait to read it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, you've read it a few times. If you haven't, a few times, haven't you, Sandra?
Yeah, I've read it 4 times now. And I'm about to take the 5th reading. She's just written in mine, and I am the official #1 fan.
Brilliant. So I'll be reading it as soon as I get back. I can't wait. And I think she's going to tell us a little bit about the book while she's on the boat as well. But what a fascinating lady. I gather she's written many books in different genres. So it's nice to see something else coming from her as well. How exciting. So it's just lovely to be surrounded by all these wonderful women today.
Thank you.
Self-care isn't selfish. I realised that going on that narrowboat that day was exactly what I needed. The other women, the conversations, the laughter, the activity, doing the locks, all that was just so much fun. Feeling the fresh air, the sunshine, just generally being totally relaxed. And guess what? There wasn't a drop of alcohol involved. It wasn't needed. It wasn't necessary. We just had fun in the sun, in the sunshine, and those conversations were absolutely magical. They were gold dust. And relationships formed, relationships developed, and connections made. Self-care, as I said, isn't selfish. So before we go, I want to just have our final 2 interviews with Shelley with her reflections of the day and Holly Nixon with some final comments.
So Shelley, we're coming to the end of the day on the boat, which was the inspiration for Floating Solo. Lots of people have had copies of the book. I've got a copy of the book. I'm the #1 fan, official #1 fan. How do you feel?
Oh, I'm blown away. I really am. It's lovely to get together. You know, a load of women, we know what that's like, don't we? Networking anyway. But to be here on the boat, to have a beautiful day because the sun's out, which is great. Holly and Gav have just been the best hosts, as they always are. Fantastic cakes and everything. But just being here, everyone's asking me about the book, and it's lovely because they know the setting, they know the characters, and if they don't, they've certainly been introduced to Jordan today. It's just been lovely. It really has, from start to finish. It really has been wonderful. Yeah.
And Jordan, the life-size cardboard cutout, has featured in photographs. We've had him steering the boat, we've had him lying down relaxing, we've had him posing with the book, we've had all sorts. I mean, did you ever envisage that he would be... I mean, when you said we've got a special guest coming, I had no idea until I walked in and saw him there, large as life. Did you anticipate that?
No, not at all. It was a literally last minute thing, because I know Holly's got the fabulous Harry Styles cardboard cutout, and he's a crowd puller, isn't he? And it was just the other day I thought, oh, wouldn't it be funny if... And I literally Googled it, and then when he came and I got him out the packaging, I was like, oh, this is just too funny. This is just too funny. And I'm so glad that everybody actually took to it and appreciated it, and we have had a lot of fun with him, bless.
Yeah, he's been well used today and features in a lot of photographs. We've had great funny. So what's next? I mean, I've been asking you for ages, is there a sequel? There's no sequel, but what's next?
Yeah, no, there isn't a sequel, because in my head this was just literally a one-off. I was never going to write another romance, but then the feedback's been phenomenal. Nothing like I expected at all. So yes, because you keep asking me every time I see you, I have started another series, and it's going to be probably 3 books. So it'll be in Pine Creek, which is a fictional place, but my inspiration is up in Scotland, and that's going to be kind of surly mechanic meets frustrated artists and all the wonders that brings. And then I've got another idea as well that I'm going to do some research on my holiday when I go to Boston. So that's like 4 romance books in the works, Sandra. I hope you're happy with this.
Well, that'll keep me going for a little while until the films come out, obviously. But, you know, I'm glad that you're keeping at it because, yes, every time I see you, I say, are you writing it? Have you finished it yet? You know, when's it coming out? So, you know, as your number one official rom-com fan, I do need to know that there's pipeline there as well. We're going to chat to Holly now about the book, but before we move on and have a chat to Holly, as I say, we've asked what's next, you've told us what's next. What do you think? You know, you said this was a one-off book, that it was only ever going to be one. Obviously it's not, and you have recently been a finalist in the Romance Novels Association Romance Novels Award. Tell us a little bit about that.
That was a proper last minute thing. So I was in Cheltenham with a friend of mine, and I saw that the RNA Awards, their finishing line, their cut-off date was the 31st of October. So I was away in a hotel, and I thought, I'm just going to do it. And I couldn't overthink it. I just thought, and all you had to do was send a book cover, fill in all the form and send the actual manuscript. So I sent it. It hadn't even been published then, so it was an interior file that went. Totally forgot about it. And then in March I got the email that said that you'd been like shortlisted as a finalist in the debut novel category, which just blew my mind. That's like out of 500 books, and these ladies have been writing romance. It's just another world. So the awards were last Monday. I didn't get the big prize, but I made a lot of friends, and I was just so proud. I got a certificate, finalist certificate, so that's going on the wall definitely. But yeah, it was just kind of proof that I was okay to be there. If that, you know, I am enough. It's one of those kind of situations. So yeah, it was brilliant.
Well, congratulations, and I hope that's given you the confidence to realise that you need to be writing more romance novels, Shelley.
Yes,
that's just
Sandra.
another big hint.
Yes, Sandra. I'll get right on it.
Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you.
Holly, I've had the most fantastic day. The sun's been shining. We couldn't have asked for better. I've really enjoyed just the whole experience, being here with other women, just chatting about stuff. Obviously, the feature of floating solo as well being the inspiration. How have you enjoyed the day, and why do you enjoy doing this?
Oh, I've absolutely loved it. It's lovely to get people on board, and we've got people from all different walks of life, and people have met each other before. Some are brand new to us and to narrowboating, and I love bringing people together, just hearing those conversations. They've really engaged. I advertised it as a fully immersive experience. People are going to be doing locks and things like that, but it was a gentle start, and then we've just been really lucky with the weather. We were in the car on the way here, and it was pouring it down with rain, and my husband and I were just looking at each other going, oh no, he's going to get the wettest because he's steering the boat. But haven't we been just really blessed with the sunshine and been able to just sit on the bank and having our lunch, having a cup of coffee and just chatting about all sorts of things. Yeah, it's been great.
And your husband, as you say, and we spoke to him earlier, has been steering the boat for us expertly, I might say, and even through the tunnel getting wet because you get dripped on. But he also made that delicious cake. So tell us a little bit about the cake that we've just had.
So you always get cake when you come on our narrowboat trips. So my husband is a baker, and he bakes for pubs and restaurants around Warwickshire. But the one that you had today was rhubarb crumble cake, which can also be experienced in Jeremy Clarkson's pub, the Farmer's Dog, in, I think it's just outside Burford. So yeah, so he's just taken on Jeremy Clarkson as a client. So you're getting really spoiled today, aren't you? Dropping some names too.
It was absolutely delicious. So what's next for you? Do you want to do more of these days and just generally have people around you and just open them up to the idea of narrowboating?
Absolutely, yeah. If we can get people experiencing narrowboating and the slower pace of life, then we really love that. So we do little day trips out, and people can get in touch if they want to talk about having a bit of an experience on Lilliput. And it's just been lovely working with Shelley as well. We always have a good crack. And so we've done a session where we did a morning networking and an afternoon networking, static, so we weren't doing all the locks. And that was really good fun, and a real range of people coming to that. So I think there are more in the pipeline, so get in touch if you want to find out more.
Thank you, Holly, and thank you for such a fantastic day.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode, a little bit different, but I wanted to give you an insight into something that maybe you've had that decision whether to do something, whether to not do something, whether you're feeling guilty about taking time out for yourself. And I just wanted to share that sometimes there are so many additional benefits for doing something just for you. I'll be back next week with another episode. Thank you for listening to the Mic Drop Moments podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. Join me next week for more inspiration, learning and top tips. Want to work with me on your business growth and strategy, speaking, or simply growing your audience? Just get in touch. Visit womanwho.co.uk to find out how you can start your speaking and visibility journey, or even feature on a future podcast. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss next week's podcast, and if there are any topics you would like to hear, just get in touch with me, your host, Sandra Garling.